Okay.
Finish where you left
All
off,
right.
and again, I apologize to you, but
That's fine.
we had
That's fine.
to do that.
I'm glad you did that so we can at least see it.
No,
I'll try to
that's
hurry
right.
along. I was talking about this Cattleya mossii alba that came from Longwood Gardens that Art Chadwick Sr. got, and then I picked up the little back bulb division from his son. And you can see the modeling right here. It's probably virused. Now, I have seen that come from a nutritional problem, too. I haven't tested it, but I got it in a 3-inch pot. It put out about a 4-inch growth this past spring, and I have to tell, I've been growing orchids a long time, and I have to tell you, when Art Chadwick wrote on there, the best in existence, when I saw that little tiny 4-inch growth bloom with 2 flowers, I could not ever argue with him. It was 5-inch flowers, as round as a platter, on a wimpy little back bulb 4-inch growth. I cannot wait to grow it up. So what I did is I watched for after it blooms, they wait 2 or 3 weeks, and then they start putting out the growth for next year, and they mature that and kind of wait by their time over the winter. Well, when that first front lead growth started growing, I took about maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon of the purely organic that had the, I asked Joe Grzoffi to bring some. I think he bought a truckload of it. And Mr. Young, by the way, will mix it up if you don't want hormones in it, or if you want only one of the 2 hormones, he'll mix it up for you, ever how you want to do it. So anyway, I took some that had both hormones in it, and I put probably no more than 3/4 of a teaspoon around on top of the pot. And the thing, if you're going to put it on the pot, you have to mist it first, about 2 times. Mist it, let it dry, and mist it again. And it has enough collagen in it, because I think it's got ground up cow hooves or something, and it forms a gelatin on top. Water goes through it, but the gelatin kind of holds the material in there so it doesn't wash through your mix. It even works on like big chunky mixes. It stays on top of it. Now, if you put it on there and water it right away, it'll go right out the bottom. So get your fogger out, the one you treat, mist it, let it dry, do it again, and then you're good to go. So I did this on this one, and this photo was taken 1 month, 30 days after I did that. All right, next slide.
Keith does not get any percentage of the sale of purely organic.
Nothing. Nothing. Now, remember, every time you get a new growth, you're going to get a new flush of roots. Well, this thing, like I said, when I got it, it had 2 roots that were alive. In fact, it bloomed those beautiful flowers on just being supported by those 2 little roots. Look what we got here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Now, that's 30 days after I put it on there. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. Turn it, next slide. The next slide shows, I turn it around to the other side. The other side that you couldn't see on there, look at that. Now just think what that plant's going to be able to produce with that kind of root system. Even if it's virused, when you get a root system like that, a healthy plant can totally overcome the virus. Yes, ma'am?
What is the name of this that you're putting in?
Purely organic. It's at the bottom of page 3. Uh-huh. And Joe Grzoffi brought 2 bags, and you can come up here, touch it, smell it, whatever you want to do. I just need to give it back to him because I think he treasured it. No, like I said, I got embarrassed to go buy pantyhose, and so I wanted to just try it on top, and I did it. Now, I've done this on a fairly large number. Now, what I have found is I think this stuff is so rich that I would not use it as my fertilizer for growing my plants. I would use it mainly, and this is what I'm going to do it for, is building up weak plants that are valuable and rare. And I gave some of this to Art Chadwick Sr., and he's trying it, and he can't believe it either. And I sent some to a friend in Hawaii that has some stuff that he salvaged from Miyamoto orchids really rare things that have never produced. He was a general manager and grower there, and he said he put it on 3 different things that had never, since Miyamoto orchids died and he got these plants, they had never made but 1 growth per year. And immediately they put out, none of them put out less than 3 growths. Some put out 5, 6, and 7 on it. One time. One time. One time. That's it.
Question, Keith.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Texas A&M did that study about 6 years ago about plant growth hormones, and then Reggie and all of his friends got all involved in producing that stuff. They did basically the same thing. And I was one of the guinea pigs who tried the stuff on Cattleyas for this very same thing. And it did exactly what you're saying, produced all these new growths, and you got all these roots. And then comes the blooms. And I have never seen such weird deformities in my
I
entire
did the same thing. I bought some of that stuff when we all sold it in Texas, put it on the eyes.
And I put it on a plant that has still not recovered.
I know, yeah. I had to throw some plants out.
And I did too.
Yeah,
Well, you bloom things you put pure in.
I have, yeah.
He's saying that it's a different product than what
Yeah, this is not any kind of synthetic, this is not, the only hormones in this, according to Mr. Young, is just what leaches out of alfalfa and seaweed. He buys it by the truckload, and he has a blender that he made. He's one of these guys, kind of reminds me of Steve Arthur. He can make a beautiful piece of machinery out of just scrap junk that people throw away out on the curb. He's the same way. He's got his blender, and he actually came up to see me. He drove all the way from, gosh, was he an hour below you, 45 minutes below? Drove all the way up there in his truck, and we sat down in a Hardee's and talked for 4.5 hours. And he was showing me pictures of how he does all this, and brought me all the different blends. I wanted a blend with no hormones, a blend with only the alfalfa and only the seaweed. And then he brought me a couple other things just to try, dally around on it. The way I'm going to use it, and I've got several people trialing it out, orchids are so efficient at taking up small amounts of nutrients. I think using this as a general fertilizer is probably not going to be a good idea, because I think it's going to be too rich for it. And you're going to, Sue Bottom tried some just as fertilizer, I think you were spraying it, made a tea.
Keith came to talk to us this year. A lot of us bought it and tried it. I used it as an organic tea, which I thought would be easier because life's too short to put the little teaspoon into each pot, right? But I got a lot of bacterial blighting, and I got some, so I think the thing to do, I got some empty tea bags, and Karen and I are gonna have a tea party and fill them up, and then during the next growing season, we're going to lay them on top of the pot for the root growth. Other people, if you're growing in pro-mix, you can sprinkle it on top of the pot, it doesn't tend to wash out. Our big Symposium grower has been incorporating it into the mix. He loves it. He says that the stuff that sat and languished is growing. But I think Keith is right. Probably the primary use of it is for inhaling
A one-time
plants.
shot.
A one-time shot.
Because I am so skeptical. Norman Fang asked me before he asked anybody in this whole country to try his mystery formula. Yeah, but it was the base product that Mega Thrive was made from. And he swore by the same thing. And I tried it on Phalaenopsis, and I tried it on Cattleyas. And you're exactly right. The same thing happened. I had a plant, and you know which plant it is, that I had told you that if the Lord ever came before this plant ever produced more than 1 growth, I would be shocked, because I've had it for 44 years. And all of a sudden, it worked. And it did just that same thing. And it was all natural, supposedly, whatever. And it threw out roots like crazy, and I thought somebody is going to be a millionaire. 2 years later, and it did bloom fine, I have to admit, the first year. 2 years later, the first thing I noticed, the flower that had been perfectly fine started crimping, on the
Pinch it on the middle.
on the middle. And I wasn't using it regularly. And then the next part of the issue was the lip was not opening all the way. When it bloomed, it would stay closed. So my question to you is, how long have you been doing this, and what have you seen?
This is only my second year. Now, like I said, on that, back up, on the, back up again. Now, on this one I've bloomed it last year, on those growths there from last year, and this year I didn't add any more to it. This was just kind of this was actually the first one I did it on. I had my pantyhose that I borrowed from my wife, or stole from her, and I just did it as a fluke because I remember what Mark Rose used to do. And like I said, I hung it way out there. It was like 15 feet away from where I normally am walking or anything, and I looked over there one day and it looked like a daggone porcupine. So I walked out there and looked at it, and this is what was going on. And those growths matured, they all flowered. Now, of course, with 7 growths, you're not going to get the flower quality you will with 1 or 2 growths. But each one produced 3 or 4 flowers, and they were nice and perfect. This year, I didn't add any more to it because I wanted to use this as an experiment and see if it continues to proliferate. It did not. 3 of those 7 produced a growth, and they're just nice, big, healthy-looking growths. Now, it's not time for it to bloom yet. It hasn't quite bloomed yet, but I'll find out.
How long did you leave it? Are they still, those little bags still in the?
No, I took them off. I mean, once that's triggered, they've done their job. Yeah, I just took them off.
And one thing I found, instead of the tea bags to use, if you go to the dollar store, in the wedding department or the baby department, you can buy those little tiny
Favorites bag, yeah, favorites bag with a drawstring on it. Yeah. The lady recommended those. She said you can buy them from that Hobby Lobby by the 100. She said you can buy a box of 100 of them for like $2.
So you're saying this is a therapeutic treatment as a one-time shot?
That's what I'm going to use it for. One-time shot to get my plant up to snuff, where it can really, start getting a root system. Most likely that, go ahead and go back to it. Most likely that mossy eye is probably virus. I will test it, but I don't care. The flower is so daggum good. Now, it had no color break in it. A lot of whites, well, you can't really see color breaks in white, but what happens when they get old, they start getting black streaks in them. It did not have any of that in it, and I'm going to test it. But
I think you'd be curious to see if you follow this through.
I am,
2 or 3
definitely.
years afterwards, because I thought I was on a Humphrey stretch as well until this started happening.
Well, I've asked everybody who's trialing it out to be sure to trial it on things that are not valuable, not real important, things that you could replace or wouldn't care if you lost it. Yes, ma'am. Not extract, just ground up alfalfa.
Okay, some of these organic and alfalfa extract materials contain a product called treacontanol. And it's a sugar alcohol. It is a growth stimulant, and it's kind of one of those black box magic ingredients. If you look that up on the internet, you'll find some empirical studies that were done at University of Florida down in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
The experiment station south of there, but it is it's been used on orchids and tested empirically for the rates and everything, and it's available as a waxy kind of soap-like material. It can be solubilized and applied, and it has very similar effects as to what you're
Okay.
describing here, minus the flower issues.
Yeah.
Has been tested.
Okay. Great. Well, and Mr. Young developed this. I don't think he ever had orchids ever in the thought of his mind. He developed it mainly for the lily and the rose trade, rose growers, high-end rose growers, and he's tons of it. Yes. Ken?
I understand in Japanese, they use cold fusion seaweed.
Seaweed,
And that is supposed to have a growth regulator like a BA or something
Mm-hmm.
in it. Do you know anything about what
I can imagine there being cytokines there, but the most popular thing I've seen where these magic formulas, often there's either a natural or a synthetically supplied treacontanol.
So this would have a double shot then if it's seaweed extract and alfalfa extract.
original stuff that Norman had that I tried, it was $640 for a vial. This all.
Well, this is only,
And it was the purest of the pure. And you diluted 3 drops into a quart of water, literally 3 drops. And it was completely evenly based with something that sounds very similar to what you're talking about. And it did this. I mean, it did exactly what I'm saying. But I just knew what the cost.
Well, this stuff, how much is like
It's $32.
$32 for a 50-pound bag?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 50-pound bag. Ever how you want. Yeah, UPS, whatever. And he sells 25-pound bags too. But I mean, when you're using a teaspoon for a 6-inch pot, buy one bag and share it with your members in your society. Don't do like Delaware. When I spoke up there, they ordered a tractor trailer load, pallets of them. I think there was 42 bags on a pallet. 50. Yeah, well, they're using it in their gardens and everything. I mean, these guys, they've gone crazy over it. Anyway, if you have any questions, Mr. Young will be glad to talk to you. I've already called him and warned him that I'm talking. And so he's expecting if you want to call and talk to him, okay? Yeah, it's not a lot, yeah. And you know, I could have maybe even used a 1/4 teaspoon on this pot. I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm just kind of getting my feet wet and trying things out. So I got some more things that are getting ready to come in to grow some bifoliates after they get through blooming. I'm going to try it on them. I haven't tried it on bifoliates, so I'm going to see what it does on them. All right, let's move on here. And this was going to be the end of my program here. And you know, this is why I grow orchids. This is in January, and we got 8 inches of snow outside, and that's my greenhouse inside. But I thought, well, since I'm talking to the Cattleya lovers of the United States, I thought I would show a few slides of some things that are my favorite. I sat down. I know you can relate to this. I sat down. I thought, well, I'm going to just put together a list. I looked at all my photos, put together a list of 25 or 30 plants that are my favorites. I sat there in like 45 minutes. I looked at my list and it was like 250 on there. And I wasn't even through. I hadn't even got through the Laelias yet. So I had to redo that. So I put together this that would fit on one sheet. The first group here are things that have been bred in Australia or either bloomed in Australia. Gene Crocker talked about Brunswick Gem. Brunswick Gem, Gene made that cross. It's Horace with Owen Holmes. Horace with Owen Holmes. And Gene went to Australia one time, and I think he took some flask.
I did.
And one of them was sold to, who was the guy?
Gordon Valance.
Yeah, Mr. Valance, Gordon Valance. And his wife's name is Coral. And Gordon Valance is one of the other main orchid breeders. I mentioned Cattleya Rude Act. Gordon Valance is another one. Another one, prolific breeder over there that's now passed away is David A. Littman. And you'll see orchids in the Orchid Wiz and stuff called Dahl's something, Dahl's Supreme or Dahl's Beauty, D-A-L-S. D-A-L stands for David A. Littman. And then there's Brian Jones. Brian Jones is another breeder.
Is he still alive?
David?
No, Brian Jones.
Brian Jones is alive. Yeah, we just talked with him the other day or emailed him.
Greenheart is David A. Littman.
Pardon?
Dow's Greenheart is David A. Littman.
That's right. Yeah.
I showed that Dell's Grace, which was Horace by George King Serendipity, the cross he made.
Yeah. And Cattleya Rude Act, he uses the genus or Brunswick a lot. There's just hundreds. He's an incredibly prolific breeder. But the first one here is, and I just hate that we're not getting the true colors on this screen. I don't know what's the problem. But anyway, this is Brunswick Blush Coral, and that's the Gordon named that after his wife. There's a bunch of things named coral he named after his wife. The next one, this is the Brunswick Gem coral.
That's my cross.
That's his cross. That thing is so good. It is just like you can't take your eyes off that plant when it blooms. It is unbelievably beautiful, huge, round substance like cardboard, 6.5-inch flowers. It's amazing thing. All right, next one. All right, they've taken whites to a new level in breeding over there, and this is Brunswick Burdekin Bells, Burdekin. This was, let's see, that was I got this as a 3-bulb division. That's the first growth, and that bloom is 18 centimeters. That's 18-centimeter flower on the first growth off a 3-bulb division, bare root that was sent to me from Australia. These things coming out of Australia, you just cannot, until you see these things, you can't hardly fathom how good this stuff is. It's like a whole new universe, like you discovered a new planet on the earth or something. It's just amazing. Now here's another Burdekin Bells, Mary. This one has smoother texture, but it's even bigger than the Burdekin clone. All right, next one. Here's a semi-alba one, Burdekin Bells Lynette. The next one. All right, this is one of the darkest 7-inch flowers I've ever seen in my life. It's called Burdekin Delight Dreamtime. Now, the color is a little distorted because it was taken under artificial lights, but it's literally almost that dark. But it's more like the color of Memorial Cecil Barrier, but darker than Memorial Cecil Barrier. Next one is Burdekin Bells Pearl, which is just that flower. I mean,
Pearl, not Burdekin Bells Pearl.
Burdekin Pearl, Rachel, yeah. That flower, it can get as big as orchid. Let's see, what is that thing? Mary, Mount Hood Mary, yeah, but in better shape. Another real dark one, Burdekin Storm Midnight. This is a coney with, I think I got it right, yeah, Pirate King with a coney. And it is bigger, a lot bigger than either parent. And look how round it is. Pirate King and a coney are both pointed petals. There's no pointiness about that at all. Burdekin Storm Midnight. I've remade that cross. Actually, Steve Arthur's got them in the lab somewhere. The next one. All right, this is Dream Trader Rude Act, named for my friend Rude Act, says Rude Act. This is the only plant I've gotten from Australia that I've taken in for judging, and I took it to Greensboro. It got an AM. I think it had 3 or 4 flowers. They were about between 18 and 19 centimeters on it. That was my second blooming on it. Okay, the next one, this one came from Brian Jones. Brian had a son. His name was Warren. It was their only son, and he was an adventurous spirit, and he got killed on a motorcycle. A drunk driver hit him. And so Brian named a cross after him. It's Sylvia Fry with Bonanza Queen. And the Sylvia Fry he used, I've seen a lot of Sylvia Frys, and I got a bunch of them, but he sent me a picture of the one he used, and it was almost as dark as a coney. Not quite as dark, but most Sylvia Frys are sort of medium to light lavender. And he used this dark one and crossed it with Bonanza Queen, which I think that has Horace in it, doesn't it? Does that have? Yeah, and that's a beautiful medium lavender. And he just got this amazing array of beautiful things. Now, the plant I got, he had never, my friend Zelda went to see him. I have to tell you, my friend Zelda, if she was in the USA, she'd have a rocking chair right here in the middle because she would definitely be here. She loves Cattleyas so much. And we just got to be good friends. And none of this stuff you can go to like a commercial nursery and buy it. All these are in private collections. tightly, tightly held. But Zelda is the one that got the award on that plant you saw Gene show, the yellow ribbon starfighter. And no orchid grower over there does not know her, because that plant not only got the Equality Award, it also won the Award of the Year for all awards given to all the orchids in Australia. And so everybody knows who she is. So she knows all these people, and she and her husband rented, you know, Australia's a pretty vast country. They rented a great big, one of these big RV things, and traveled for about 3 months all over Australia, talking people, twisting arms to get little divisions. And she got one for her and one for me. And if they only let one, she grew it up and then sent me a division of it. And Brian had never let any of these go. He just held them so precious because, you know, they're all named after his son, and each one's got a different clonal name having to do something with some of the adventures that his son did. This one was called Highway to Heaven. You remember that program called Highway to Heaven with that guy riding a motorcycle, you know? That was named for him on there. Now, you can't appreciate this, but that flower was 7 inches across. I got it as a 3-bulb back division, but she had cut it and it had a few roots. This was the first growth. The first growth was 4 inches tall. I measured it. It was like barely 4 inches tall. It produced one flower that was 7 inches across. And the substance, I think it was so thick, if you bent that petal, it would snap like wax. The thing was absolutely, and I don't know how that came out of those two parents. And Zelda got several others. This was supposed to be the best one. That's why she sent it to me. It's so difficult to send stuff from Australia. She was a government employee. She knew all the red tape, and no shipment has taken less than 6 months of paperwork. No shipment. That's why you can't get stuff from Australia. Nobody over there will ship anything except flask. You can't get divisions unless it's illegal. And you can't ship anything over there. They got dogs sitting there sniffing every package that comes in. You can't ship. You can't even smuggle anything in. The next one, this is amazing. This is, you know, Hanajima showed heron's gill. Heron's gill and a clone called nigrescent or something. It's a really dark thing. And I think it was Lyle Sokrinsky. He's the other. There's 4 main guru breeders over there. Lyle Sokrinsky crossed heron's gill with Sheen, LC Sheen, Bouton d'Or, and 99% of them came out to be huge, dark, or red things. And one of them came out like that right there. It's called Gene. I'm not sure who Gene is. And that thing, now my plant's not up to size yet. That's probably the second blooming I had on a small division. And it was 6 inches or better. And the color is blinding yellow. You cannot believe that heron's gill is a parent of that.
No, I was going to say, it's hard to imagine.
Hard to imagine. Yeah, it's just hard to imagine. And I found out recently, though, that there was a second one that bloomed out yellow, and it's almost as good as that one. I don't have that one, but Gene is the most famous one over there. All right, next slide. All right, this is LC Aussie Sunset. This is LC Aussie Sunset Cosmic Fire. It was made over there. It's Gene May. I think they used an Emberside clone crossed with Spring Fire. Yes, Fires of Spring. It's got a lot of Aroniaca, Laelia cinnabarina in it, you know, high flower count, tall spike things. H&R Nurseries, there's actually one commercial orchid nursery over there called Arabeam. You've heard the clone Arabeam, the Intermedia, Amethystina Arabeam, and there's some other things Arabeam. That comes from that commercial place. Well, one of the guys at H&R sometimes get flasks of Mariclones. Arabeam has their own lab, and they do stuff. And H&R got a flask of this and sold them back about 10 years ago. And there was a lady in Louisiana that got one, and she took it in as a first bloom Mariclone, had 3 blooms, and it got a 78.8 cc with 3 blooms that were pretty small, a lot smaller than these. I took this plant in that day, I took that picture when I took it back from judging, and every flower on it was bigger than the 78-point HCC, and they said it had too many flowers for the breeding, and they gave it 75 points. They downgraded it, and it took me a year. I just now got it annulled, because I was not going to accept a downgrade on that plant. I told them that was like kicking me in the face. They downgraded. So anyway, I won't take it back to them. This was only the second blooming off. This thing makes grows. It grows like a Raniaka. You know, you can take a 4-bulb Araniaka in 2 years. You can have 16, 17 bulbs from it. It's got the Araniaka type growth. See how close together they are on there? And then it's got good stems from the Laelia. It's an incredible thing. And boy, to see that in color, you almost have to put your shades on to look at it. It's so bright. Huh? Okay. All right. All right, let's move along. The next one is golden nail, lemon tree. All right, move on. Now this one, this one was from Frank Fordyce. It was named Memorial Don Herman. Some of you knew him or know of him. And Frank Fordyce named this clone Cattleya's friend. And I promise you, if Don Herman was alive, he'd be here today. And I just wanted to show this one. All right, next one. And the reason Bubba, Steve's friend, made this for me out of a picture from the Yellow Ribbon Starfighter, and I had this printed up and sent Zelda a poster for Christmas. Great big poster on there. And see, I got he put the little stars and things kind of coming out of the galaxy like that on there. All right, real quick, we're just going to snap through them. Okay, you saw this one. This is my cross of Chelsea Nakanishi horse. Now this is a really special thing. Bill Owens selfed Delta King Tangerglow. And out of that selfing, he had one that came out so much better. The others mostly looked like Tangerglow, sort of a medium yellow. And this thing was like twice as brilliant yellow. And I was fortunate enough to get a division of that. That is the most amazing yellow that I own in my collection right there. It's a Delta King, and we named it Lemon Magic. All right, go ahead. All right, this is Sheen. You know, we've talked about Sheen for the last 2 days. This is a picture of Sheen right here. I think Bridget took this picture this year. And Sheen is not that great, but boy, what it does in breeding, it's just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then Lou Gilmore's sunflower that I showed earlier, it's from Sheen.
Yeah, Sheen is just, I mean, you can't hardly go wrong with it. It's just anything you put it with. And this is a coney with Sheen. All right. This is probably the darkest Cattleya, darkest red I own. This was made by Lynette. I named it for Ken Griffin. He never let anybody name anything for him. He was the owner of Lynette. And I called his wife. When I bloomed this out, I called his wife. I said, can I name, because the cross was not named. I said, will you give me permission to name this for him? He said, yeah, don't tell him. So I named it for him. And they made the cross, and they only had 2 plants out of the cross. They almost had a total failure, but there was 2 plants, and when they went out of business, I bought their Cattleya stud plants, and this was in it, and I bloomed this one. I've never shown this one. I took the other one in and got an AM. There's another one called something. I can't remember the name of it. Let's move on quick. Okay, this is LC. This is Jean's cross, Cecil Barrier, Black Luster. This is gorgeous. If you don't have that, you need to get one. I tell you, you really need to get it. Go ahead. This is Michael Crocker. I bought this from Jean as a seedling. I've got several I think I bought 10 of them. That's why I named it number 10. It was the 10th one that bloomed. It's the roundest one I've seen, and it's got the color kind of your one called Hat Trick. It's sort of a brilliant glow to it. Beautiful. Go ahead. This is I bought a few seedlings from this ugly Cattleya called Gulf Glade crossed with itself, and I had heard that one of them had come out cerulean, so the guy Lynette and I went in together and we bought 20 of them from James Rose. He had gotten the flask, And we looked at them, and the first two I picked out that didn't have spots on the leaves, no pigment on the leaf, they came out cerulean. This is one of them right here, all right? And this was the second one that bloomed out of that. They're siblings. That's the darkest of Cattleya I've ever seen, and it blooms like. And I've seen some darker Cattleyas that sort of do that once in a while, but not consistently. That always blooms like that, constantly, and it's got good shape too. Go ahead. All right, this was I bought 4 seedling amethystoglossas from Kawamoto, and 2 of them ended up being loaded GZI, but 1 came out a nice cerulean. So I figure 1 out of 4, that's okay. All right, that's my guttata. Go ahead. And that's how you take that to judging. You rent a U-Haul truck, tie it in with blankets. I got timbers around in each side so the pot can't slide. That's the way you do that. Go ahead. That's a Nobilior that I got from a friend. It was dying. He sent me 2 bulbs that were shriveled up. They were the size of a raisin. This is 9 years later. Go ahead. This is, back up. I bought this from Alex 2 years ago. Put out the first bloom last year. I took it in to judge, and they gave it 82 AM. That's Perseviliana alba Chorito. It's a true alba. Alex said that they selfed it, and all the selfings came out pure alba. No pinks, no lavenders, nothing. I'm proud of that. This is it's got to be a tetraploid or some kind of polyploid Schilleriana. It came from this lady, Ann Reed, in Hawaii. She selfed an awarded plant that she had called let's see, what was it? I got it on there. Aloha 2. She used the clonal name Aloha. And Gene got one. He got it awarded too. But this one, I've never seen a Schilleriana like this. And look at the leaves. They're the same color as a flower. And they're not even green. They're like dark mahogany. The thing is amazing. Go ahead. And this is a cross that Gene did. I guess you did it Gulf Orchid Glade cross with itself? Yeah. Okay. And this was the first one I bought. Actually, I didn't buy them. Gene gave them to me. He pulled them out of the flat. And this was the first one I bloomed, and it was just incredible. It's very, very, look at the profile there. Very flat for Schilleriana. Color is really good in the lip. That was my first bloom. Second bloom is a seedling. It got an 85 AM. All right.
Robert's flowered this also, and he said it was nice.
Mine was almost identical to that.
You did? Go ahead. This is a really rare color form. I'm not sure it exists anywhere else except with a friend of mine, a lobata semi-alba. I don't know, the judges, this is not in queue, so they would just judge it according to regular color form lobatas, so I'm not going to take that in and let them destroy that. Carolina Splendor, I've remade that, and Gene remade it. If you ever see seedlings of Carolina Splendor, it is absolutely the highest percentage of high quality that I've ever seen from a cross. No Carolina Splendor that came out of Lynette was not awardable. I never saw one that was not awardable. This is one I named after Ken. Go ahead. This is another one, number 10. This is another one. This was from a sib cross. Gene talked about doing a sib cross that you get to see the best of the best. Every one of the siblings that I've bloomed have been better than the original. Every one so far. I haven't bloomed them all yet. But this was the first bloom seedling. Took that in to judging. They gave it 79 AM. I took it in next year with 2 flowers that were bigger, and they said that there was no improvement, and they passed on it. Anyway, so I'm not taking it back there. And I bloomed one that was not red. This is the only one I've seen that's not red. It's sort of a apricot color. It looks more like the other parent, the Waikiki Splendor. Okay? Yeah, that Frank. That's a Frank Fordyce cross there. Those things are amazing right there. Dream Circle. Go ahead. And that is another cross called Lynette Splendor. I named that because all this stuff I got from Lynette's, they were just seedlings when I got their stud plants in their seedlings. Those are just incredible reds, dark reds. Some of them are super dark. Go ahead. That's another one. Named that, my daughter really liked that one, so I named it April's Favorite. Go ahead. And that one, man, I'll tell you, not only is it a good flower and super dark, it puts out a flower stem that's, I didn't put it in here, but I have a picture of my thumb beside it. The flower stem is thicker than my thumb, and it blooms that way every time. It looks like a bamboo pole, and it's about that long. And I thought it was just a freak the first time it did it, but it's done it 4 years in a row since I've had it. All right. And this is a cross that I made. Let's see, what is that? Yeah, red Oconee. I made this, and Frank Fordyce, I sent the pod to him. He had it flasked, and somebody got hold of a few of them, and they named it out from under me. But, red Oconee's okay. It's red crab crossed with Oconee. And most of them came out looking this color, but one of them came out like the next slide, like that right there. Had one out of the whole cross of the seedlings that I believe. He sent me about 25 of them, then he sold the rest of them. Okay? And now the next one, I need your permission. It's not a Cattleya. But I just wanted to show you this because I love this plant. And since we're in Florida, and it's native to Florida, go ahead. That's my Dendrophyllix lindinii. That received the FCC, and I'm glad to report that it's twice that big now. I had 19 flowers this year on it. That was the most, when I took that picture, that was the most it had ever had. And I've got seedlings coming along. I'm blooming seedlings that are no bigger than 2 or 3 inches in diameter with little blooms. But the vigor in this particular clone is coming through into selfing on it. Huh? Well, the FCC? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. It came from Oak Hill. Yeah, and of course their plant came from Florida originally. On there, I'm sure he didn't go to Cuba. Okay, and
I think you got it from the orchid thief.
yeah. And then the taxonomists have basically done away with BLC. I mean, you think about what you would have to actually, you could still theoretically make a BLC, but think about what you'd have to use. It'd have to be a small flower. So you've basically done away with it. But so I use BLC to me now means my best loved child. So this is the next one. Thanks.
Great.